Hello, my lovely listeners. I'm Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns. Welcome to this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. Gorgeous ones, Dr. Lucy here this morning, and I am with the most wonderful guest. You're going to be so enraptured or encaptured as I am. Her name is Claire McDonnell-Liu. She's from Western Australia. She will be speaking at Low Carb Perth on the 23rd of April, and her passion is helping families reduce sugar and make healthy choices for their kids, something I know that you are all interested in. Gorgeous Claire, welcome to the podcast.
Lucy, lovely to talk to you. Thanks for having me on.
You are welcome, darling. You are welcome. You are doing amazing work, and I can't wait to hear about it, and also to hear about your talk that is going to be at the Low Carb Roadshow. So, darling, can you tell us a little bit about your journey? Because I know it's super interesting.
Well, it seems like a long time ago now, but I was an environmental consultant in a long time ago, and had my lovely children, my son and my daughter, and they presented with some health challenges. And that's really what got me started down the route of looking into nutrition. And after a long journey with both of the children, putting them on low carb diets for their health. For my son, that was clearing up his eczema. And for my daughter, that was a strict low carb protocol. We put her on a keto diet for her seizures and managed her seizures and got those under control. And then that sparked, my interest in studying nutrition. So off I went, studied nutrition, became a nutritionist, and now love supporting families to find their healthy route and tackle different types of food challenges.
Oh, amazing. And in fact, so your family has experienced the benefits of the traditional reason the ketogenic diet was invented to improve brain health.
Absolutely. And that keeps me motivated to help other families realise the power of ketogenic diets or low carb diets. So I work with schools and communities me and my husband launched our own non-profit organisation, leafy.org. So we put out resources and we help schools and school children learn about ultra-processed foods and sugars. But another part of the work that I do is working with families. Some of those have autism-type behaviours, and realising a bit of a stricter low-carb protocol and helping them to make those bigger swaps and be a bit stricter, and seeing the cognitive benefits for those families, mood, energy, but really importantly, behavioural improvements. It's just wonderful. It just really, really sparks me up. I just absolutely love it.
Oh, that's amazing. And I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because we do know, I say we know, I guess you and I know, and certain pockets of the community know the direct link between food and mood and food and childhood behaviour. And I certainly know back in my sugar guzzling days when I ate a lot of sugar and I fed my kids a lot of sugar, a lot of parties would then result in hyperactive, poorly sleeping children for the next 3 days.
Absolutely. And we talk about it openly as a community, don't we? We talk about the wappy children and they're going to be so high now after that particular event, yet we still repeat. So I think we have that awareness on one level, but then society, because culturally our foods have shifted and our cultural norm has shifted, now ultra-processed foods, high sugar foods, sugar being in everything, then I think our normal day-to-day foods are potentially quite harmful and damaging. Even if we know that we should be switching and avoiding, we don't find it always that easy to do that.
No. And I think, it's certainly not, Joe Blow from the general public's fault. I think there's a lot of confusing messages which are done on purpose. So I've got this new theory that, it's not that new, but that marketing is like a magician. So they basically confuse you in order to do their trick. And they're sort of, watch over here, over here, over here. And by the way, we're just shoveling all this stuff in. And the magical, mischievous marketing that occurs that is done to children is phenomenal.
I agree completely. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on with our foods, and the organisations and the bodies that we should be able to rely on should be getting that in hand rather than going in with industry and big food and going into partnerships or arrangements with them. But yeah, smoke and mirrors definitely with our food. So we have health washing of labels. So we have healthy looking cereals. We've got the kind of green colours, and we've got ticks all over those boxes. Some of these have got really high star ratings. I mean, that's giving me the impression as a parent, I'm busy, I haven't got time to read every single label and get into the science and the nutritional panel of everything that I buy. It's giving me the impression that organisations and nutrition bodies have looked at that for me and are agreeing that that's a good choice for my kids. But actually, what we know is that a lot of those are ultra-processed foods. They're still high in fat. Yes, they might be formulated with added vitamins and extra fibre and a sports endorsement, which high profile that somebody's sorted out from the marketing department. But it's not good for our kids still. Some of the better swaps are costing families more money, actually, and they're still harmful to our children's health. Almost around 50% of children's everyday regular intake are ultra-processed foods. So foods that you couldn't make at home. They've got chemicals and additives that you wouldn't find in a home kitchen. And we have study after study that are saying this is damaging for children's, for families' health, and children are going to be the ones who see the repercussions of that, children in particular. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think you're right. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day and they basically said, well, what can I do? Everybody's kids have packaged food and I don't want my kid to be the only one who doesn't have it because he'll get picked on at school. And so I'm wondering what your thoughts are on helping people navigate that kind of space.
Well, these are the type of topics I'll talk about at the roadshow, and I'm really, really excited by that.
Oh, wonderful.
That's going to be really good. I love geeking out at these and learning and meeting people. So I'll be talking about different strategies and how to navigate that. But there is a big problem really being the odd one out. Not every child needs to go on a low carbohydrate diet, that's for sure, or any diet, but most children would benefit from cutting out and cutting down on the sugar, cutting down on the chemicals and the highly, highly processed packet foods, things that we don't realise that are potentially damaging and harmful and ultra-processed, that term that's now being used instead of junk food. So things like your everyday family cereal, even healthier looking ones, packet sauces or jarred sauces, and healthy looking cereal bars and muesli bars, those type of products, are still those type of foods you want to avoid. So there's some quick wins that you can do by getting those type of foods, reducing those and bringing more whole foods in. So we'll talk about those type of strategies. But I do, as a mum of two children, completely understand that you don't want your child, and your child gets to a certain age where they're not completely in your control anymore and they don't want to be the odd one out. And it becomes more and more challenging. So that's why with leafy.org and joining up with others such as James Mukey, Australian of the Year, we're putting out a junk-free me campaign. So we're putting together some resources, that letters you can send to your school and alternative rewards that schools can do. I think a lot of this has to be community-based, not blaming parents. Can't stand it when people put this all back on parents, when the whole of the food environment, the whole of the marketing and even their school is often against them in terms of the food environment and the food culture. So take this off the parents' shoulders, definitely, and let's bring this back in at the school level and tackle it at a school community level.
I love that. And what you've just reminded me was, I remember watching a documentary like a billion years ago. It was Jamie Oliver going into schools, and he went in and basically looked at the milks. So the drink options for the kids were initially there was soft drink, so, sugary soft drink. So they went, but then they were left with two types of milk, chocolate milk or plain milk. Well, do you think anyone took the plain milk? Of course not. They all took the chocolate milk. And then the concern was, well, they don't like the plain milk, so if we don't give them the chocolate milk, they won't drink any milk. And it's like, actually, if you take away the sweet milk, they may initially be a downturn, but then it just went back to normal levels and they just drank the plain milk.
Mm-hmm. And we're doing them damage with that flavouring in there and that level of sugar. We're just harming those children. That reminds me of in America at the moment, the school meals are all of the school meals given out at breakfast time and at lunchtime are exceeding the daily sugar limit. And flavoured milk is a major contributor to that. So again, back to those quick wins and just sensible stuff like, should we be giving sugary pink milk to school kids? Absolutely not. And not as health professionals, that shouldn't be signed off. Yeah, we need to look at why that's happened as well. Is that because of lobbying? Where's it breaking down? But the answer really is parents getting together and getting their school to take this seriously. And I'm talking to families and getting together with different groups, and the examples of schools giving out, say, pizzas, Domino's pizzas, and giving out Maccas on schools trips and rewarding the best class with pizzas. It's pretty crazy, really, in these times when we have 25% of children overweight or obese, and we just know how serious that is going to affect their future. And then dental caries and the rates of self-reported chronic disease in children in Australia is shocking, absolutely shocking. I mean, we're at a time where this has got to be a priority for everybody and not put back onto parents and, getting them to pay more and make better choices when they're so time poor.
Yes, absolutely. It's interesting to me as a culture, and I did this exact thing as well. When I was trying to get pregnant, I looked after myself and ate well, stopped alcohol, started exercising, did all the things. Conceived, had a pregnancy, again, off to some sort of pregnancy aerobics, not eating soft cheese, doing all the right things, get the baby, breastfed, doing all the right things, reading 50 books on how to settle my baby, look after my baby, buy my baby's first lot of food, doing everything from scratch, cooking organic. Suddenly the baby turns 2, bang, cheesels. Cheesels. The kid's now eating cheesels. I'm thinking, what? I look back and I go, right, the kid now, it just suddenly they go from eating everything from scratch and perfect to buckets of processed food. It's like our brain turns them into a different person. And I know even when I work, because as you know, I work mainly with women, for a lot of them, they have still a barrier. And again, it's not their fault, it's the marketing, but they'll be eating low carb, but then they still have and this is the word, I reckon, the treats for the kid. So the kids are getting these treats because that's now what the junk food industry call them, because no one's going to call it junk food. It's been sort of renamed, just this stealthy renaming of treats to snack food.
We've softened it, haven't we, with that language, that lovely kind of language, but this is a reward, this is kind of, and then if you were to take a look at the adverts, it's kind of all those warm, fuzzy, loving feelings. It's always summertime in a junk food advert. And you're right, I've worked with clients directly as a nutritionist, and it's really interesting that a lot of my clients, again, are women and they have families and often have young children, and it's often their own weight and an associated health diagnosis or warning of a diagnosis. They're coming up to getting prediabetes or something like that. Things are going up. And then they change their food over a period of months and start to feel well. Then hopefully, often the shift then goes towards the family. But, often it's one individual in the family rather than, a whole approach. And what I find is most successful for you, your child, if that's who you're kind of targeting with a health intervention and a nutrition change, or maybe it's for yourself, for your own health, for your own weight, doing it as a whole family. So that the cupboards don't have the crap in, the temptation, open the fridge or the freezer and the ice cream's not like screaming at you. And then everyone benefits, everyone starts to feel better, look better, better skin, better sleep, all receive those benefits, and you buoy each other on. And that's easier said than done. I've worked with people whose partner's been completely disruptive and not supportive about making health changes, food, nutrition changes. Some people have that, don't they? That it's saying a lot about they feel judged, or they're not ready to change their food and face their own food habits. But yeah, it's definitely much more sustainable when you all embark on it together and get back into real food and eating healthily as a whole gang.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is the whole thing. It's, working with people, it's most definitely not about judging. That, shame and judgment have no place in any nutritional change, as I know you know, but it's about giving people some knowledge. Because again, with that smoke and mirrors, a lot of people are buying stuff because they want to feed their children food that is nutritious, not realizing that the health washing, as you mentioned earlier, is tricking them, that they're actually being tricked. And that, to me, I call that the wolf in sheep's clothing, the junk food that's dressed up as health food, and that's just wicked.
And there's a lot of it out there. There's a lot more coming our way with very, very confusing messages. I mean, the plant-based foods are a big one where that's coming out as a really healthier option than, old-fashioned traditional just meat. So, I mean, there's lots and lots of examples. I think for me, cereal is the one that when I'm working with families and I'm working with schools on their breakfast clubs, that's the one that stands out to most people, cereals. Oh, I thought that was healthy. Oh, well, multicolored Cheerios, not healthy then. And it's amazing how we have that disconnect, really. We're kind of educated, years before I looked into nutrition. When I think back, when I was getting healthy, I got pregnant and I was just, eating the best I could. Children came along. My son had skin problems, as I mentioned, eczema, etc., a few different skin types of problems. And I was like, right, healthy this, healthy that, healthy the other. And so I made him these healthy little sweets that made of dates and cacao, just so expensive. And my house smelled like a chocolatiers. Oh, it was just heaven. And I must have upped his sugar load per day by such a big percentage when I was trying to go healthy. The mistakes you make when you don't know about carbs and sugars. Yeah, and, we don't all know. It's not our area of life or science. And why should we? We should be able to rely on those organisations to tell us and steer us down a healthier route.
Absolutely. And, at the end of the day, we all know that the most nutritious, bioavailable nutritious food is real food. At the underpinning, doesn't matter whether, you're a vegetarian or low carb or moderate carb or carnivore or whatever it is that you identify as eating, if you at least have the fundamental basics of real food, then that's a good platform to start.
Absolutely. For me, that's the basis of it all. Some people may need to go stricter and kind of look at carbohydrate counting, and some people even ketogenic. But generally, the majority of families, if we cut out the stuff in packets and jars and we cook more from scratch, and that does not have to be complicated. We can do such straightforward 10, 15-minute meals. We're not having to do anything completely fancy and start our own cooking shows or anything. You're getting the nutrients naturally, you're getting the fibres. You don't have to think of what is the next wonder product. You must eat this berry, you must eat this superfood, because you're getting an array, you're getting a diverse range of the different minerals and nutrients and vitamins that your body needs naturally. And then you're crowding out the room in your diet for the junk food. And you're satiating yourself, you're feeding your children's brains, which is wonderful. You're helping them run for longer. So that's where they get more stable mood, which God knows the teenage years, they need as much of that as possible. They need that protein, they need those lovely fats, healthy fats for their brain development. And they need the stable blood sugars to manage the behaviour and the mood and the energy. So there's just so many wins just by keeping it ever so simple, really simple stuff.
Absolutely. Well, Claire, I certainly cannot wait for your talk. It's going to be a ripper. It's going to be incredibly helpful, I think, like practical tips for families. And I would extend the families to being grandparents as well, because quite often the grandparents suddenly start, handing out junk food after junk food with the wonderful intention of showing their love. But I think that you are going to have some pearls for everybody who attends.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. And like you say, it's going to be really practical tips to get you started and how to sustain those changes and how to feel really, really well as a family.
Wonderful. All right, gorgeous ones. If you want to come to the Low Carb Roadshow in Perth, you can head to the website, which is all the W's, lowcarbroadshow.com, and you'll see the dates, the tickets, and all the information there. And if you'd like to connect with Claire and have a consultation regarding your family's health, or maybe you're from a school, you can find her on her website, leafy, leafie.org. That's leafy.org. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye for now. So, my lovely listeners, that ends this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
And I'm Dr. Mary Barson. We're from Real Life Medicine. To contact us, please visit rlmedicine.com.
And until next time, thanks for listening. The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualized medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.